if you're self-led, you will appreciate every moment due to being aware of your mortality. So the left and the right work together, which make you emotionally sovereign. And with that, time is precious. So why do you use journal prompts, or why would you use any kind of mindfulness practices? Because it makes the most of the time you have, especially since emotions, when they come up, they have a meaning, they have a purpose, and so you're appreciating the relationship that you have with yourself. So self-led people, we don't blame, shame, fault, revenge. We don't go around projecting our emotions upon the world. And that's where, when you're mystic and spiritual, you're not going to call it Lucifer monsters. You're going to know who 3D 4D are at, or where they're at and who they are. And it's all basically FYI. I use attachment trauma education in the words that I'm going to, yes, adapt to child part people. They don't go to Terry Real. They're losers, and they're always irritating, because the one thing they are teenagers. At least they remind me of the teenagers that I said, you're out, you're out, you're out, you're out. And that's because I didn't waste my fucking time with losers. And then I found out that there's a bunch more of losers. So when an emotion arises because of being irritated by that which is the cowardice of those who lack self sovereignty, because they lack nervous system sovereignty, because they lack emotional sovereignty, just FYI, they don't want authenticity. They like their masks. Okay, so that's the part that I'm going to get out. Number one, self-led people don't lower their standards, because we're not going to pretend to be ourselves. So when you're a teenager, you will have learned how to stay your authentic self with your feelings if you were securely attached right here. So you don't lose it, you maintain it thanks to the self-reflective practices, which involve your thinking and your feeling. You feel first, then you think. So like when I started the diet, 3 days before my diet, you all know the story. Well, some of you do, some of you don't. There's the 5D Mystics Nutritionist Skeptic Diary. I did it on purpose because a bunch of spiritual bypassers, pseudo-intellectual posturing people, are trying to diss science, while I'm like, science proves every one of my brothers and sisters is the perfection that God wanted them to be. The difference is, if they don't want to go claim themselves, you can't force them to, and they will disregard that they don't know the difference between dysregulation and self-regulation. I do. Which is where, again, if you're self-sovereign, you're going to be back here, because you're like, yeah, okay, have we finished patting on the back people that don't need patting? Not one side or the other side. Like, we either have compassionate, intelligent human beings, or we have the other group. And they're very clear, because that's the whole point. They don't actually know how to use journal prompts, even when they're hanging out with each other. Wow, I know all about them. Okay, so if you are new, PayHip, it's the digital product store for IHP. So we have one for uncertainty, in case you're curious. We don't get that thrown down. Our standards maintain the same level of standards always. A gamers. So healthy self-worth people, we don't have time to lose. And so whenever an emotion comes up, we don't just ignore it. We don't suppress it. We work with our own self, and then obviously in a safe environment. So since an adolescent year I continued down the path. So you cherish the relationship you have with yourself. That's because you don't want to be a liar, by the way. And, fakos. I mean, my facade friend, they're really boring. So people who lack awareness, accountability, regulation skills, like my facade friend, stay their teenage version. I'm 45, going on 46. So when I say teenagers, at this point in my journey, I'm talking to you about the losers, and they're just not losers to us. They're also not Lucifers or monsters. They're buffoons. Yes, buffoons are amazing. No, they're not. But as empowered feminines know, and it's not because I'm a woman. Nope, it's because any person who owns their body knows we all have, yes, charges. The difference is we'll process ours with responsibility thanks to our inner authority. So we're in complete control. We cannot be manipulated, let alone persuaded. Our gut is not always right. Our intuition is not always right, because I want to diet. I want to do the diet. We're doing the diet. That's how it works when you're smart. You know yourself. Okay, so personality patterns, temperament, you have fun journaling, and you have fun also just contemplating with people who are safe, because that's the part of our left and right brain. They laugh together. So did you know that the right, broad, flexible, easily distracted, literal? I'm literal so much. While the left is highly focused on parts, develops abstract context, and gets obsessed, which is where the non-bilaterally integrated brain people are at. And so I don't get obsessed, but I am thorough, even though some people might think that that's obsession. I don't use words in the same way as dictionaries, so please do not apply any of social, cultural norms or any of that. Maria has a whole language of her own. And so that's for any of you. So when you're self-led, you're going to let people know, look, I can say tomato and you could say tomato, and we might be here for a whole 20, 15, 50, we don't know how long, but we're going to have a good time. That's what self-led people do. And we love to use two sides of the brain. So don't waste our fucking time is what we feel when we're around morons. And so the journaling, it supports us to write out every single bit of shit that goes on in our life. And then as you gain familiarity with that which is God's children, thank you God, and as a mystic and a channeler and a downloader, you get to learn what the weak ones are. The same, they have always been. The difference is scientists prove it's not a monster. In fact, actually, I was quite, not surprised, because I had already understood that by the time I was 20, that there was no monster, as I never scared, shitlessly, pissed, or shit my pants ever. You see what I'm saying? So when you're literal, as I was saying, you're like, yeah, no monster. Just a bunch of actual very bad behaved human beings, maladaptive patterns of behavior. They're unfortunate for those who had the unfortunate business. I know who to shame. No, I know who to point to and where to point to when I know people are not actually members of our society. So the individuals who like to dehumanize, they're not self-led, let alone are they emotionally sovereign. Those of us who are emotionally sovereign, we're intelligent, for I won't dehumanize humanity at all. I will understand what our species is. Ignorant, as long as they're falling around, controlling, manipulative, persuadable, moronic individuals. And that's where you got the 3D, 4D. They're amazingly hilarious to a person like me. And that's because I can spot them like a hawk, which is also why Buddha makes fun of me. High five, Buddha. So with that, standards, they don't lower because I will know what your A game is, like God will know. To encourage, to comfort, to support all of his children, and to strengthen, not scare them shitless. The ones who still use monsters, it's for small-minded, mediocre, and actively not dangerous. They're irritable to my butthole and to my entirety. It's like, and then I breathe as my healthy perfectionist who, I have no image to defend. Those of you who wrote the Enneagram, I got plenty of anger going on. It's just, I'm going to use it for good, which is social construction. Did you know it's all made up? And when people know it's not, yeah, it is. Actively it is. It makes complete sense to self-led people. You're going to be back here because with humanities and social sciences, you can't go wrong. It's like, wow, it's amazing. Neuroscientists, neurobiologists, I mean, social sciences, humanity. Do you know this man named Sam Harris? As he points out, when you're grounded in reality, you know that any of your cherishable beliefs could be falsifiable. To lowering standards, why would I get defensive about God? You don't believe in God? I believe in God. Why would I get defensive about somatic experiencing? You don't believe in the first 3 years of your life anyway, so it doesn't matter. You actually, what version are you? Are you a 2.0 version? Did you get to 10? I'm 46 almost 0.0 version, and people want to crap on me with the age. I'm going to be 46. I'm not in my 47th, and this is the part. Do we want to argue today? No, but there are those who have argued with me. So this is the part of where if you're having fun in life, join us here. The journal prompts, they're for those people that like to do uncertainty this way, because seriously, as long as dark matter and dark energy don't implode and we have air, water, and food, we can hope for tomorrow. No, we cannot just hope, but we want to leave a legacy behind. When I see the mediocre, small-minded, ignorant, very disgusting at this point, I will use my grown-up words. It's disgusting, D-I-S, I think G-U-S-T-I-N-G, to watch movies, TV, all of it. I just have to laugh because I can't actually be serious. As if I were serious as I'm watching TV, I think of every single teenager that I've ever met, every single college student, all the people who pretend to own themselves, and then I think, wow, they actually have not any clue what they're missing out on. That's so sad, the depth of themselves. Well, I guess it's not motivation enough. They don't want to know them depths. So there you go. That's actually how sad it is. I have the depths of me. So when I hear about the depths of a person not being, oh, wait, Peter Levine, come in. Thank you so much for talking sense to me. Thank you, Peter. That's who humbles the spiritual one, as he explains exactly what the suffering stuff is, alongside Dr. Daniel Fox, Dr. Daniel Siegel, Bezo van der Kolk, and not some moron who says lack of imagination for evil. That's just a moron who's playing with words. I don't play with words that way. I say, wow, do you know how sad it is to understand why there's so many groupies out there who don't even know half of the energy they are because they don't know anything about their sense of self yet. So they haven't tasted their own sense of self in its wholeness. Because that's what happens when you are in the enlightenment, by the way, so age group, and then you're a sense of self. It's, wow, I have so much to be. I'm so full. You're always full. Why are so many people empty? Oh, wait, they're not empty. They're just small. It's like being near a very not functioning guitar string. That's how I'm trying to explain to you all. 3D, 4D are irritable to me because it's like, you're not monsters. You're weak. You continue being groupies of Peter Pan, Lost Boys, and Wendy's, and you continue making it seem like you're badass, and I'm still wondering, where are all the actual energetic people, which is why IHP is here for them. Be yourself. It's sad to see that people won't ever meet themselves, but it's understandable, thank you, Peter Levine, that they'll go to the cave where the cat is to get eaten, because that's how torturous their first 3 years of life is, which is why they want us to respect those who are in need of a drama king, drama queens aren't coming to you. Okay, so I respect them, the ones who are healing, the ones who have chosen to make their little groups and make it sound like they're badass. I'm trying to point to, let's leave them alone, because, you know, at the end of the day, by the way, their distress is in their bodies. So the part about when there's a saying, hold on, it's not that many are called and few are chosen. It's that those who lack self-sovereignty choose to not go to therapy. Those who are instead self-led when they're teenagers, like me, they chose to do some bullshit stories after the first breakup, after some girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is that the fuck happened to them. I saw them grow up. I got to college. I'm not impressed. I still watch TV. I'm not impressed. I'm completely unimpressed. Every single bit of entertainment is disgusting when I watch it, because all it fuels on is yucky, low frequency drama. It's not even hilarious. It's always a triangle. Like, eventually I'm like, I lost the taste of this, because now they're just creating emotionally immature behavior again and again. Where are the mature ones who know how to use their emotions properly? Why am I not seeing eloquent, amazing, funny buttholes on screen? And what people say, it's not entertaining. No, it is entertaining. For those of us who have good taste, who appreciate life, it's very bad entertainment to have to witness that which is a superhero, supervillain journey again and again, and then go watch it outside on YouTube and everywhere and anywhere, and then think, waste of life. Yes, Neil deGrasse, I agree with you, but it's not the education system. It's actively people who lack the desire to meet themselves due to the fact that they'd have to be in the fetal position with Patrick Tiahan, and they don't want that. So you can't go telling somebody. What I'm sharing with you is my frustration and upset at people who will never meet themselves. Do you know why I care so much? That's the other part. And thank you, God, because I would love to meet them. But then I remind myself, that's selfish, Maria. They're scared of themselves. How selfish are you? Wanting them to go and uncover every single bit of their tortured life from their first 2 years of life. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say that's pretty selfish of me. So here, that's why selfish, selfless, these words, when I hear them being used randomly without people taking into consideration every single individual. You're self-led, you know what I'm talking about. You're not self-led, you got a team. Go have fun with your team. Anyone who wants to meet themselves, I love to see those people. When they don't want to meet themselves, it's none of my business. And if that's their best A game, it's a mediocre game, but that's their best A game. So what are you going to do? You can't make someone love themselves first. You can't make someone want to be themselves. And then you can't make someone understand when they're being buffooned, because your gut isn't always right. I want to do the diet. I want to do that. We're redoing the diet. Our health is our priority. What are you talking about? And it's not in a way of crapping on myself, because that's not how I got talked to. I got held with, let me explain it to you. Let me explain it to you again. Let me explain it to you again. Then every now and then there would be this twisting and turning. And I'd be like, you can't manipulate me. I'm not yeah, you are. You're trying to wield your words and tell me things that I know it's not true. This is talking about you, mother, if you're watching. So my point is, though, anyone who's controlled, no, anybody who is in control is like, yeah, whatever. Some of the stuff you tell me is sure. Other, not so sure. Oh, you know who I trust? Yes, I know their timber. So, a timber of truth, Dr. Daniel Siegel. I like also, I'm thinking, hold on a minute. I'm going to leave it at that for now, because I thought of some names, but I'm not going to go there just yet. But yeah, people who have self-sovereignty, we don't lower our standards because we know what every person is made of. The minute that you're talked sense and therefore you're humbled, the spiritual one will be humbled by Peter Levine. because they will make you clear on why people are tortured, and then you'll feel sad, and then you'll remember not to feel sad for them because they don't give a shit about coming into your space and bothering you. And then some will also not give a shit about being actual, even more than just that. And that's the sad part. But we want more grown-ups who don't lower their standards and know how to talk a talk and walk a walk. And so accountability, it comes with regulation skills, and it comes with you being self-aware, and that's of emotions, and not living effective realism. It is right, it feels right. You're all feels, dude, and enlightenment exists. You just didn't get there because you're a cynic. But I'm not going to point it out to you if he ever finds me. I'm like, you want to have a debate? Let's have a debate, because you showing books like this and making it into your mission to talk about how we can't cry on screen. You know how many times I've cried? Not on screen, because why would I cry with you? With people, randomly. Do you know how many times I cry for the people who won't get to know themselves? Every time I left my classrooms with attachment trauma education, I would cry. And then I found out that we have them even in my classrooms. There's no shortcuts to life, and people ask for them. It's a process, integration of the brain. It's a process that is chosen by someone who will honor themselves. And when they don't honor themselves, which is why it's none of my business if you dishonor yourself. But don't ask me to play a fool, because I won't. My facade friend, all I asked you is to be yourself. And that's why losers, and really I wish I could be a teenager again, just say you're a loser, but you can't do that. That sounds now like I'm a little kid, which I am right now at the same time. So at the worst case scenario, what I have to say, self-led people, our standards are always the same. We know when we're being bullshitted. We will leave it alone. As you get older, you just want to get on with your life and deal with people. No, you want to have fun with the right people, and then the other ones, you just leave them alone. It's a sad story. You can't tell it to them. Even when you authentically tell people information that is good for them, I've done it. Not in the way of martyr superiors or blamers. No, it's been in the way of information that is shared because we're talking about it, and then they will be like, nope, I'm doing great, and you're like, no, you're not, but I can't tell you that, so you keep on walking and rolling. Yep, the system's trying to hold you down. Sure it is. I'm gonna go now. So sometimes there's people that I don't want to talk to. I'm thinking of this one guy consistently, they're like children. It's like the more you don't want to be around them, the more they will be like, I want to be able to tell you what I think. And in fact, I need to learn to neutralize that so I can stop being a magnet for these morons. So they actually went ahead to have this discussion with me about how age is all mindset. And while I'm all about mindset, all I was trying to say is you treat your body right. You know how much sleep you need. And if you don't sleep well, you take care of it. You know what foods are good. You know what foods are not. You don't do drugs, please. I mean, once you grow up, or at least you get taught, about the different drugs, and really the ones that put holes in your head. I mean, I'm not a fan of drugs, but marijuana I know makes people laugh. At the same time, I would hang around one of my friends, and every time he smoked, I'm like, are you a moron? I'm like, you didn't smoke. Well, yeah, I didn't smoke, and now you're even more moronic than you usually are. Could you stop? Could you smoke? No, I don't want to smoke. I'm fine. I really don't want to. Even if you blow it in my face, it's not going to do what you're trying to do. I mean, seriously. So anyways, Hakuna Matata, what a wonderful phrase. That works. So for example, one of the things that those of us who don't lower our standards do, journaling, thinking, feeling, laughing. Yes, we still watch movies even though they're crappy, but the ones that are funny are not as crappy. The ones that are dramatic, that's just a part of where it's like, I'll read the book on history in the absence of those who are creating low frequency mass bullshit, yucky everything with their sides. So it's really hard not to point to those who are immature because they're not louder. There's just so many scared children that don't know how to handle their nervous system because they chose not to go claim themselves. And it's none of my business. So I can't make them want to meet themselves, which is why when someone says, don't be yourself, that's a red flag. I'm like, yep, that's a red flag. I don't tell them, I'm letting you know. So whenever you see that, again, being yourself today with all the education, it means you're self-led because your higher self is in the lead. You have integrated brain. That means you have nervous system sovereignty. You love to feel angry, sad. Afraid is the worst one because that's like panic attacks. Yes, I have had them. And I've felt pure fear. Like that is completely, I'm not ever clinically dissociated. No, luckily for me. I think it's my glials. So Surprise is great. Happiness, good. Disgust. It's really disgusting to see TV shows that continue with a bunch of bullshit. We have polyamory and monoamory communities now. We don't need to talk about cheating or that addiction is monsters and devils. Addiction actively has its entire roots in the part of what people don't like to admit, that their first 3 years of life matter. And that is where you're not going to make them believe. Because the other thing is, when you hear how Bezo Vanderkel points out, you don't talk sense to people like my facade friend. And the reason I call them teenagers is because they're all acting like spiteful dicks, like the teenagers I met. The difference is they're spiting their own self, which is why I laugh when someone wants to talk to me about evil Lucifer monsters. It's like, yeah, okay, keep talking bullshit out of your mouth. I know I'm meeting pathology after pathology after pathology after pathology, and then a bunch of groupies that I think, wow, there's a bunch of teenagers who follow each other around like a little puppy. Which one's the puppy leader? Oh, look, there's the puppy. That's what Maria thinks of people who are groupies. No, I'm not a groupie. My group is the human herd, and I like the emotionally intelligent ones, which is why here it's only for self-led people. I never planned on hanging around mediocre ones. I just have to honor them and respect them because God chimes in. Otherwise, he's going to lightning bolt me. There's no monster. I told him that by the time I was 20. My mother taught me manners, and believe me, when someone refuses to see themselves, and you know why, thanks Peter Levine, you don't think, let me make them meet themselves. You realize why you've met so many weak people in your life, and you're like, thank God you kept me away from all of them, because I think I would have broken them like in ways that that's not necessary. They're already broken as it is, because that's what happens if they don't go get fixed. Not my words. Lovely dissociative identity disorder lady who's healed, who's writing a book. I can't wait for it to be out. And as she said, she's writing it so people can know that they're not broken, but they're fixable. And she explains. And then I got to see a DID lady who's healing, and it was amazing as she's like, I'm at 7 years. And I was like, oh, she's excited that she's about to get to her real self. I'm so excited for her. That's how it feels when you're self-led. One, on the other hand, you got a teenage asshole like my facade friend. It's like, okay, whatever, man. You are a coward. The last story that I had with him before he went and made his decision to stagnate and be his, he's amazing. Yeah, I love my friend to death. He's the same buffoon I knew when I was a kid. He's the same irritable buffoon, and I'm sure I am to him too. So long story short, you know how there's a whole men women things. They're not real men or women. If they can't be authentic, that's how I'm going to bring it to you. Any real man or woman doesn't give a shit about what the word man or woman. It's going to be, are you authentically you? Then you're going to know how to talk to me. Whether you're upset, not upset, you're going to know how to use your words. You're going to know how to tell me what you're feeling. You're going to know how not to actually overreact. And if you did overreact, you're going to know how to apologize, because that's how it works. You know how to say sorry, like that's what our journal prompts are for. And then it gives us opportunities to put them into practice. Uncertainty, it gets more fun, not less fun, because, well, in my case, with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, I already know the future. I'm a mystic, remember? If you're new, you don't know that. I saw my future life on earth with my future husband, and when people tried to shit on him, I was like, hey, stop. It's my future husband you're talking about. Don't disrespect, and that's because it's a sad story, by the way, and I still don't know if there was any bit of making a difference. Because this is the part when people don't actually have smart people around them, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, who are open-minded and not small-minded, ignorant, like pitchfork medieval time ignorant. You know how disgusting it is to watch human beings still in that? Disgusting is the word, because it's the feeling that comes up when I'm watching people be morons, which is why TV. Sure, I'll watch it. I'm seeing it out there on the street. You can't tell them disgusting, because they're going to think, wow, that's a strong word. And I'm going to think, well, your non-metabolized trauma time is your 0-8-year-old. I've been explained it, and I'm watching it. And anybody who doesn't believe in science is going to be like, you just made up a bunch of bullshit. And I'm going to think, yeah, sure I did. Actually playing out like a hawk right now as I speak. I'm like, this is not happening. This is where it's not virtual reality, Thomas Campbell. It's more like, this can't be. You can't have that many insecure people. Yes, we can. Humanity. Ding, 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 ding. I had a conversation with a smart human being about this. Our human secondary consciousness, which is why I'm making a spiritual mystic journal prompts. You're going to hear that about that in the short. It's number 9 came up. So those of you who are spiritual and you're expanding, you're going through usual expansion. That's always every year. But the point that I'm trying to get to is that, and now I lost my train of thought actually. But those who lack self-sovereignty, they're completely just hanging around each other. They're hanging around and they are bringing to each other a place called home. That's all I can say. You can't really make anyone. I got it back. Human secondary consciousness. So when you have a made for the people by the people, what I can tell you about accountability is that when I look out into the globe and the world in general, I don't do what I like and don't like. I know what I like: air, water, and food. I notice there's a bunch of people who just decided that they're not going to care about the environment because some people think it's real, others think it's fake. And I think, wow, that's really shitty of all people. Because, I don't care what you believe in or not. How about you take proactive measures to fix what's going on instead of using. This is the problem with the non-bilaterally integrated brain people, the ones who use their left alone, and that's what we got. We got a bunch of morons out there, because the minute someone is fighting about something, not noticing what's important, I think, I want to live a world where it's about what is the air, the water, and the food, because feelings are everyone's game. How about common sense? Versus the other bullshit that everybody likes to keep bringing in. And it's like, yeah, I know what leaders are supposed to be. I studied political science. I know exactly what I went in for and what I thought I was getting myself into. Now I know what a grown-up is and what a grown-up is not. So I know who to hold accountable, and I don't do conspiracy theories. That's actually blaming someone with a narrative that's so big that it's beyond me. I just know one thing: humans are weak. The weakness is this: if I look away, the confidence is eroded. Wow, like my facade friend. So you're a coward, facade friend of mine. I told him, you're doing the same thing that all these men and women have been complaining to me about. You're bullshitting someone. How about you man up and tell the truth? Did he do it? No, he didn't. Because he wanted the one thing that every person who doesn't know how to be on their own two little feet does. They cower in shame and become someone's sheep, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter. I can't lose respect for you. And I can't point it out to you because the trauma therapists have made me aware of what that means, which is why I don't actually find those who are any better or worse than me. I'm a sheep, yes, of smarts. And then there's the other ones. And when you find them, you don't think, oh, let me hang out with them. You think, wow, you just told me something amazing. I'm going to go hang out with the people who know how to do something called That's exactly, we get out of it. I get out of those conversations because I learned from my facade friend. He talked over me. Once we became friends, he talked over me, and then 3 years down the line, I find out he's lying to me again. So fake people are always fake. They're always cowards because they didn't bring their A game on. You can't tell them that because, again, they lowered their standards by the time they were adolescents, and then some didn't get lucky, and others still aren't lucky because they don't want to go be smart. So I love it, right and left. So right, intense, tends toward pessimism, negativity, fear, mourning, grief, while the left, cheerful, optimistic, amused, emotion. When you have them both working together, it's why you don't actually, I wouldn't have thought this to be the case for the right, I have to say, but that makes a lot of sense. So when I mourn or grieve, yeah, I've become so immune to moronic behavior that I can't grieve for humanity. And with my relationship with God, he knows all about my pissiness, because I was like, there's no Lucifer by the time I'm 20. Then I get out of college and I'm like, God, these people just taught me a bunch of shit. They're not following any bit of it. Now I'm attachment trauma educated. They can save everyone, but not everybody wants them. And now I'm here telling you all, emotionally sovereign people will be here because that's the 5D collective, and we'll be okay because we know that the world doesn't revolve around our emotions. Oh, we also don't make grief sound something. That's called pseudo-liveness. I saw a woman who explained our superpower is to, and she's talking about grief, and I can tell the pseudo-liveness because Bethany Brand or Ruthlanius showed it to me on a screen. And I've seen it with 4D mystics. So once you've been explained how every embodied brain works, and then you're looking out there, you're like, wow, okay, self-led people, authentic, everybody else groupie, pretender, small energy. I have reasons and knowledge. I'm telling you all right now. So yeah, no, that's not, you want to know how grief works for a person who's got two sides of the brain? Yes, it's, hey God, so I did everything you told me to do. I really don't give a shit about this human being over here because they've shown exactly what they're made of. And this is what happens. Twin flames, don't worry. They don't send us spiraling in hell. They send us actually with our hands like, I want to tell you what I think right now in your face. And that would be, really? Really? Is this what kind of coward you are? Because a coward, there's not a bigger coward than this. This is why it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yes, I don't even know. Thank you, God. So there's this thing called compassion in your heart once you learn from Peter Levine what happens to kids and Dr. Daniel Siegel. I'm so happy I got attachment trauma education because that's what saved me from being a very bad friend and a very bad person. Because, see, it is bad. Bad. No, it's bad to be mean to those who didn't deserve and don't deserve to be mean because they didn't get any opportunity. And those who don't want to believe in the explanation, well, they're not going to be back at IHP because I do explanation. Even though I'm pseudoscience woo lady, I know exactly what I'm talking about. So somebody who says lack of imagination for evil, I say you lack education and stop using the word like philosophical religious textbooks. And how about we update a little bit of our way of talking about poor human beings who are maladaptive patterns of behavior, which is what I'm trying to do right now. So I won't pat anyone on the back. I won't excuse and shame and blame self-led people. We don't do that. We just say, okay, we have answers. We have solutions. We have sides. No, we have that which is called those who know how to say someone can choose to meet themselves, someone may not. And in the meantime, if we want to do something for the future, it is to show children how to behave with each other and not by harboring resentment or having them be mean to each other. Our human secondary consciousness, everyone wants to have meaning. We all do have meaning. That's the sad part. You have 24 hours. You have meaning for the people that are around you, unless you didn't have meaning in a way like that. So what I love Dr. Daniel Siegel says is this. Every person who's an integrated brain and who's a self-sovereign gives another person the opportunity to have an anchor. And even if that seems like nothing, that can be an anchor to their sense of self and their lifeline. And then we make more emotionally intelligent, sovereign people. Join us here. That's why we have our journal prompts. That's why we have our mindset practices. That's why we do what we do. It's not because of us doing something special, 5D mystic, spiritual, mindful. It's being yourself authentically for real and understanding if someone's so scared shitless of themselves, they're going to go find a groupie to hang out with, feel like they're badass, continue to be morons like my facade friend, and continue to make up bullshit stereotypes, generalizations, and then the movies that they get to watch and have fun with. And we get to be over here while we're disgusted, understanding why societies will fail. Because immaturity, well, if ego's so stuck on being ego, well, I can't feel sorry for fools because pitying or feeling sorry for a fool automatically is disrespectful. You will know what respect means. It's you have the conscious choice to be your A game, your B game. I'm not going to make you be your A game. That's up to you. If you want to motivate yourself to be the best version of yourself, you will. And if you don't, you'll find a million excuses for why you won't. And I will not be the one who's going to try to argue my way through making up shit for you to continue bullshitting me around. That's exactly how it feels, like my facade friend, which is why you become an annoying person to them. Because you're like, yeah, I'm not actually able to pretend that this is not serious. I was 4 and I was rejected because I was serious, just saying. So I'm still the same person. Welcome aboard. Those of you who don't lower your standards, we're healthy perfectionists. And like such, we know what all of God's children are made of, love and healthy fear. If it's unhealthy fear, it's not a monster. It's called they need therapy, but some don't want it. So we can't make them, and we don't shame, blame, fault, or revenge. We don't take away accountability. All grown-ups are accountable. They can learn to become self-regulating grown-ups so that they can actually lead the future into that which is, it's a globe, one big globe. We need air, water, food, come on, let's get it together, people. So welcome aboard, and like, share, and subscribe. Let others know, those who do enjoy being themselves and digital practices, and also just funny stories and stuff like that. So have a good one.